When plugging a mobile device into a public charging station, users often assume their data is safe, as long as they select the Charge Only prompt on their screen. But this assumes USB security is purely a software problem. An operating system cannot protect against an exploit engineered at the hardware level. Enter Juice Filming Charging, or JFC. This method silently captures a device's display output, bypassing standard data transfer permission prompts entirely. On the JFC schematic, the entry point is the mobile device linking to untrusted cables via MHL or Lightning protocols. The signal travels through an adapter into a VGA to USB frame grabber. Finally, a back-end computer extracts user inputs, like passwords, directly from the display. JFC operates entirely below the radar, because it spoofs a simple projector or external display rather than a data drive. It exploits the inherent trust built into HDMI and MHL hardware standards. The phone's operating system never raises an alarm because it doesn't recognize a threat. The root of this vulnerability lies in the physical architecture of the universal serial bus itself. USB cables pack power delivery and data transfer into the exact same housing. This vector diagram shows a standard 4-pin USB-A connector. The outer pins handle the V-bus power and ground, while the inner pins manage the D+ and D- data lines. Bridging power and data requires almost no effort from a compromised port. The common consumer response is a passive blocker, frequently called a USB condom. These are physical adapters that simply sever or remove the data pins. However, their static nature is a critical flaw. They offer zero telemetry and cannot monitor the live connection. Because passive blockers cannot detect hardware-level tampering or voltage manipulation at the port, they leave devices exposed to dynamic exploits like JFC. A smarter gatekeeper is required. The Juice Jacking Defender project proposes an active hardware stack. At its center is the ESP32 microcontroller, selected for its ability to rapidly coordinate multiple security-focused integrated circuits. In this block diagram, the ESP32 controls an ADUM4160 data isolator. This chip physically sits between the public USB port and the user's mobile device, acting as the primary point of control. The ADUM4160 electrically isolates the data lines. It severs the D+ and D- connection by default, halting the continuous video feed required by a JFC attack. Returning to the hardware architecture, we add the INA219 power monitor on the V-bus line to continuously track electrical parameters and feed telemetry back to the ESP32. This creates a system of power fingerprinting. The ESP32 analyzes the INA219 telemetry in real time, scanning for the anomalous voltage or current fluctuations that characterize an unauthorized data handshake. If a threat is detected, the ESP32 immediately triggers a localized alert. An SSD1306 OLED display visually confirms the attack attempt, while a low-voltage buzzer provides immediate audio feedback to the user. By layering isolation with real-time telemetry, the system grants the charging port the ability to identify and sever malicious communication before a single packet reaches the connected device. But physical isolation addresses only exfiltration. If a user intentionally authorizes a data connection to access a file, the system must still evaluate the incoming transfer for malicious portable executable, or PE, payloads. This flowchart outlines the software defense layer, mapping the machine learning pipeline designed to classify payloads. Moving to feature extraction, the P-file library parses the binary structure of executables, converting complex code attributes into a clean feature dataset. To address class imbalances, the system applies the synthetic minority oversampling technique, or S-mode. This balanced dataset is then passed to the classifier tier, where it's processed in parallel by 3 distinct base learners: AdaBoost, gradient boosting, and random forest. Predictions from the base learners are fed into a final stacking classifier. At the bottom of the workflow, this classifier issues its ultimate prediction, categorizing the file as either a high-risk malicious payload or a low-risk benign file. By pairing active physical hardware isolation with an ensemble machine learning pipeline, the architecture achieves true defense in depth. It guards the DisplayPort from silent exfiltration and the file system from direct injection. To make the system accessible, the trained machine learning model is integrated into a lightweight Flask web application. This allows users to submit executable files and receive real-time risk evaluations without significant computational overhead. The juice-jacking defender operates on a dual-front strategy. It applies physical electrical isolation to neutralize stealth exfiltration tactics, while deploying machine learning analysis to block injected malware. When an attacker attempts to exploit a public port, the hardware cuts the line and the software flags the payload. The connection is neutralized before a single byte of data is compromised. The proliferation of public USB charging points in high-traffic hubs, like airports and cafes, means an attacker's potential reach scales directly with the number of devices needing a charge. This project establishes a blueprint for hardware-aware security. It demonstrates the necessary evolution from static, passive USB blockers to dynamic, intelligent gatekeepers that adapt to live threats. Integrating embedded telemetry and hardware-level isolation addresses the specific blind spots of current software prompts and passive blockers. It represents a functional path toward hardening the public charging ports we rely on daily.